All right, welcome everyone to our weekly webinar. I'm Diane McKeever. I'm the education chair at the Minnesota chapter of SCORE. Today we have a wonderful presenter. Back again is Michelle Baker. Today she's going to talk about championing competency in the workplace. But before we get started, if you've ever been to our webinars, I need to do a little background first. First, what is SCORE? Who are we? We're a nationwide nonprofit organization, and we're supported by the Small Business Administration, or the SBA. SCORE provides free, confidential mentoring to small businesses, either in person or online. There are over 300 chapters nationwide ready to help you. Our chapter, which is the Minnesota chapter, which is a portmanteau of Manatee and Sarasota counties, has nearly 90 volunteers ready to help you and your business. We were recently named Chapter of the Year. So at what point in your business can we help you with? Well, pretty much the whole thing, right? From I woke up this morning and I had a great idea to I think I want to sell or close my business. Or perhaps conversely, you're thinking about buying a business. We've got a whole team that will help you so that you don't pay too much for your business. So wherever you are in your business development, we can help you. Just apply. Where would you apply? Well, you'd go to our website, which is score.org/Minnesota, score.org/Minnesota. There's a handy dandy button that says request a mentor. You fill in a couple of fields in a form, and suddenly you've got a mentor. Days later, you've got a mentor. We also have on our website a list of our workshops. This is our weekly workshop. We have them from now until the end of time, seemingly, with wonderful people brought in to help you with your business. So look at our workshop calendar, look through our recorded webinars to see if there's anything there that can help you. Just do a little search on it and you'll find everything you need. Lastly, I'd like to thank our sponsors. You'll notice that many of these are financial institutions, banks, and credit unions. It is a fact that if you walk into one of these places with a SCORE volunteer on your arm, they're going to listen to you a lot more than if you just walk in with a pile of papers with no organization to them. So think about getting your SCORE volunteer if you're thinking about financing. SCORE does not give money, but we can help you get money. And thank you to our community partners. Now, without further ado, Michelle, it is up to you. I'm going to stop sharing. I never like to stop sharing, but I will stop sharing. And if you would start sharing your screen, you can take it away. Thank you so much for coming today, Michelle.
It's so lovely to be here. And yeah, I get that as someone who ran a chapter of a women's organization. We were taught never give away the mic, right? You hold same thing with the slide deck. So hi everyone, Michelle Baker here. So I want to ensure that you guys have an incredible time. So I want to set you up for what you can expect. So you'll listen and open for it, expand more confidence, engage more collaboration, empower more connection, and explore creative solutions. So that's what we're going to take away from today. So the thing that will have you take the most away from today's presentation is to be a beginner. We all have heard a lot of things in our life. So what generally happens with people sometimes is when they hear what they thought they already knew, they actually will things like, oh, I know that already. So what it does is it stops you from experiencing a new understanding, a new discovery, a new awareness, a new learning. So when you come with this clear slate, like, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard it like that before. Oh, that's a new way of looking at it. I wonder how I could utilize that. So when you come with an expanded rationale of how you're going to experience this versus judging the outcome and just being in inquiry, it's much more powerful. If you do that for anything, it will change your outcome. So how everything begins with everything is a vision. Everything in life starts with what you envision in your head. all greatness demands and requires that you have something that you have conceived before you ever step out. So again, what is it you want to succeed at? Why are you here today? What would you like to be better for yourself from this talk, for your business, for your career, for your finances, your family? What is the vision of how this can help you? Because without a target, you will miss 100% of the time. So anytime you invest in learning, what is your desired outcome? Not what I'm going to tell you you're going to get. What is the reason you showed up? Meet in the seat today so that you can have an outcome. So who am I and why I'm sharing this talk? Well, my name is Michelle Baker. I have a background in sales. I worked in corporate sales from Yellow Pages Advertising. For some of you, that was a book that they used to and they drop it off at, so I date myself when I say that, right? Pharmaceuticals, I did medical devices, covering cases in the OR. I was a biotech rep, got my MBA, became a comptroller for Thermo Fisher, the company I work for, was relocated, realized I don't like being inside. So then I went back out and did executive sales rep, had a 10-state territory until I said yes to being the live-in aide for my sister. I tell people I left corporate sales. I was close to $250,000 with my 6-figure base pay, my bonuses, my car allowances, all my everything. I was around $250,000 a year easily, right? And I walked away not knowing where I was going to get hired or what I was going to do, because I realized that I was being called to do something greater, and that greater was my sister. So whenever you follow your gut instinct, you will find such bliss, such fulfillment, such satisfaction that your circumstances will begin to change and they will begin to work in your favor. So I put the picture of myself up as a little girl because I didn't have an easy upbringing. I was raised in alcoholism, abuse. I was incarcerated by the time I was 20 years old. And I was set on the path to the neighborhood I was in. Most of the girls were pregnant. Most of the guys were in jail or dead. Right? So I was on that path, but for some reason I believed in one teacher who made a difference. So why this competence in the workplace? Because when you are competent and you're confident in who you are and how you show up at work, you can change the outcome of not just your life, but everyone's life around you who you impact. And someone made an impact on me, and throughout the rest of my life, I have been intentional about impacting people I'm around. So I get to go out and do things like ignite confidence wherever I go with whomever I speak to. So again, you get to change your life based on who you decide to be. And competence, that's known having skills and being a master, being really good at something. When you're competent, you know how to do it, and you know that you know how to do it. It changes who you are. So here's some of the companies that I serve and I still serve and work with. I've had an amazing career and I get incredible opportunities to work with some amazing companies and teams. So sometimes it's sales reps, sometimes it's leaders, sometimes it's women's associations. It varies. And all I do is go out and ignite confidence because that's what I'm a master of. So I want you to take a moment and write down, and I'll give you, if you get 1 or 2, that's great. But make a line for 3 so you can later go back and backfill this. What are the top 3 things you want to accomplish for yourself in 2023? To be professional or personal, but write down what would make your year absolutely the best year ever if you were able to accomplish it by December 31st. So I'll just give you a second, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I think that's either George Washington or it's one of our founding fathers. I just forgot to put it to cite, but it's not my quote. It's somebody else's quote. And it's a rule, right? So again, if you plan to fail, you don't have a target, and you can't hit a target that you haven't decided upon. It's like shooting arrows at the dark trying to hit a bullseye. All right, so what we're going to be looking at today is confident confidence. So this is what I call unstoppable confidence, because you can be confident in something and know you know it, but if you don't have the confidence, you won't speak up. You'll second guess, you'll apologize, you'll shy away from telling people that you know something or asking questions or offering your ideas. On the other hand, you could be confident and then that's just bravado. You could actually show up and have all of this bravado that you are this awesome person and actually not know how to do it, not know how to do it well, not know how to communicate it well. So when you combine the two, you become unstoppable, and you also become a force that is beneficial to whom all you're working with, be it your colleagues, be it a team, be it an organization, be it your clients. You become valuable wherever you go when you combine the two of these. So if there's any questions, feel free to stop me and ask the question. Or if it's something that's germane to this moment, Diane, or if it can hold off, I can answer it later. Now, having said that, establishing certainty. So certainty is something that we actually really don't have. But how you establish it with another person in your communication is that you're communicating the purpose of the meeting, you're communicating the desired outcomes, you're reviewing agendas. So what the certainty is when you're connecting with another person, and this generally, we start to lose this as we build rapport. As people become more comfortable with people, they just show up and start talking to people about what they want to talk to, instead of doing simple things like, hey, how's your day going? Do you have time to talk? What I want to chat with you about is something that we are working on. So the certainty creates that opportunity so that you can have a better workplace experience, so that you can, if you have people working for you, or if you're working with somebody, what it does is it creates a landing field. It has people stop thinking about what they were thinking about before you show up. And if you have a whiteboard, you're able to have this space where you guys can come together. Without it, you have just interrupted someone. I want you to understand that everybody on this planet has lots of things going on. We are inundated with information, and we have, like I was telling Diane before I got on yesterday, I work and I'm also a live-in aide. So yesterday I had to reorganize all my meetings for the afternoon because my sister passed out, and the aide that's here working with her, we got to get her we call the ambulance, we got to take her to emergency. My mom lives 10 minutes away. So my whole day changed. So again, as I'm communicating with everybody, I am reminding them the certainty that I will still give you your deliverables. It's just going to be a little delayed, right? Every conversation is creating certainty in your competence, in your ability to deliver. So when you do that, you become more valuable, because most people do not take the time to do that. They just show up and start talking. And then when the person pushes back, that they weren't ready to have this conversation or ready for you to just start talking to them, the person who initiated gets offended, right? You can eliminate all of that by just creating, and it's certainty is just actually being polite. It's actually acknowledging that everything is not about you, right? That you would show up and you would just go, hey, do you have a minute? Hey, I just wanted to check in. Or hey, if we're in a meeting, I just want to remind everybody why we're here today. We've got 60 minutes. So we're going to do this, and I want to honor your time. Remember, nobody ever gets mad if a meeting ends early. Also, you do not have to use all the time. If you complete everything that's on the agenda, let people go early. So that's where the certainty comes in. So that's the established. So examples of organizations that had to create this, because in the face of where they were, they didn't know anything. Airbnb was founded in a recession when companies were falling apart, and when the bubble had burst, nobody was making money, and they had to get their team of people who they had to be certain about their ability to create an amazing company in the face of what was happening everywhere else. The same thing happened with Zoom during the pandemic. They had to have these meetings. Their people worked almost or felt like around the clock, but the leaders in that organization, the supervisors and the employees were able to communicate because they were creating a certainty about what was going to happen, what the vision of what was going to happen and how it was going to be done. And that's the first start. So you can't create anything great if you're not giving that to other people, because what they're working is out of fear instead of out of their ability to deliver their competence or their excellence. So this is just a thought to solidify the certainty. What is the why of this group or gathering? So this team, to be outstanding, get comfortable, with being uncomfortable. When you can really understand that in order to expand, which means more or better or different, expansion, you want more money, you want a promotion, you want more employees, you want more clients, all of that is expanding. It means you, in order to expand, you must do what you've never done before. You must communicate what you've never communicated before. You must be willing to be uncomfortable. Your desire for somebody to do it your way or to say it the way you need to hear it or to be comfortable is killing your growth. Mastering being uncomfortable is the #1 rule of success, because success and failure are as one coin, opposite sides. The more successful a person is, the more failure they've experienced. Can't have one without the other. So the next level is credibility. Know, like, and trust. Everybody knows this rule. We all like being around people we know, like, and trust. But guess what? The first time you meet somebody, you don't necessarily know if you know, like, and trust them. Your gut might say they're cool, they're interesting, but how many times has our gut said that and it turned out we got burned? Everybody's had that experience, right? You're like, dang it, I thought they were a nice person. Dang it, I thought they were going to keep their word, right? Because you leapfrog the process of clarifying if this was really the quality person that you wanted. So establishing credibility, what it really does for you is it creates a safe environment. So it's okay to ask questions, to have people verify and validate. I have my 3 V's, and you'll notice I do like a lot of acronyms and things like that, but that's how I remember stuff quickly and assess and tribute. So I verify and validate and vet people. I want to know, like, if I'm going to hire you, I want to speak to a current client. And if people tell me they don't want to, I don't let my current clients speak, I don't, give that information. Okay, that's okay. You're not for me. Guess what? There's hundreds of other people that do what you do. And I'm not offended, and I hope you're not. We're just not a fit, because if anybody want to work with me, I will gladly let you speak to a current client, because it's part of the conversation I have with every client onboarding. Know that I'm a woman in business, and that in order for me to continue to grow and expand my business, from time, there may be once in a blue moon, you might get a call from someone who wants to ask you about your experience. All I ask is that you tell them your honest experience. I'm not telling you to puff me up, just tell the truth. And that keeps me to delivering excellence, to ensure that if somebody calls somebody, that I know what they're going to say. So I have certainty in what current and prior clients going to say, because I deliver excellence. So, but this is what you're doing. You're identifying, addressing the challenges prior and difficulties early on. What people don't do is, when you're getting together, you're generally getting together because you're solving a problem, you're creating something that doesn't exist, you're working on a current process, you're creating a deliverable. So these are the many reasons we have conversations. Address what do they call it? The monkey, or I forget what's the thing in the room. See, I don't create that thing in the room, so I forget what it's called, right? But address the elephant in the room as soon as possible. Just bring it up and remind people why we're here is to make this smooth. We're here to create something that's incredible, right? And when you do that, when you create the certainty that the reason that you're here is to create a vision of something that's going to be incredible, then once you address the elephant in the room, it's not a big deal. Because now you've got everybody excited about what you're going to do. But if you don't talk about the fact that you missed the last meeting, or we were late starting, or somebody didn't do a deliverable, everybody in the meeting is thinking it anyway. So you're not getting full buy-in. You're losing your people. You must be at the highest level of integrity to create and establish 5-star credibility. And that's a hard thing to do. We as human beings, we don't like to be uncomfortable. We don't like feelings of unease, right? Remember the last, become a master of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. We don't like it. We still have a reptilian brain that attributes fear to danger. Danger and fear are very different. And what happens is your brain still thinks, oh my God, this is not, oh my God, something bad's going to happen. 70% of your thoughts are negative. So again, when you start practicing, like, write out the agenda, practice what you're going to say in the mirror. An interesting thing I found about entrepreneurs with pricing, because I do a lot of sales coaching and things like that, working with small business owners, is that they want to do their price and they're saying, I'm so uncomfortable with my price. Say your price over and over again out loud in the mirror. Say your pitch over and over again. How you're going to address it. Say it. Call somebody and role play it and have feedback. Practice. Practice makes prepared. Practice makes prepared. Success is the result of repetition, right? So again, being prepared to do something you've never done. If you've never led the meeting, if you've never dealt with something that's uncomfortable, and then briefly introduce people. I always set an intro time. And when you set an intro time, don't volunteer somebody to start, you start. If you're leading the meeting, you set the tone and the example, because I promise you, if you volunteer someone else to start, they're going to derail and go off. And instead of giving like a 30 or 60-second intro, they're going to talk for 3 or 4 minutes. And the next person's going to talk for 3 or 4 minutes. Now you're scrambling to try to rein it in. So the quickest thing to do is tell people, we're going to have about a 60-second intro time. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. We got to keep the time because I want to honor your time. This meeting is 60 minutes and I want to make certain we got a packed agenda and everything we're doing, even if you're talking to one other person. Right? You want to, the credibility is how you create an environment. And this shows your competence. When you control that and create certainty in that environment, because you have this agenda. And even if you're not, I've been in meetings where I wasn't running the meeting, but I know the timing and I know what the agenda is. I will chip in and say, hey, guess what? I think we're running a little bit over. So I don't know if this next section, if we want to tighten it up a little bit, because I know you mentioned in the beginning that you really wanted to honor our time. And I just wanted to make you aware, because I know it's so good that we're kind of going over a little. See how I said that? And I said it in a kind, affirming, supportive way, right? So that's the credibility that you can create. So I want to give you examples of 2 people. I always like entrepreneurs because I'm an entrepreneur, but these were people who were in industries that were counter to who they were, counter to their upbringing. They had no knowledge, no background. So they constantly were put in places and rooms early in their careers where they had zero credibility. So all the thing they had was the certainty of the vision that they were creating. Sarah Blakely started Spanx in a male-dominated industry. So women's undergarments is an industry run by men, not women, right? So she started Spanx, so she had to go talk to investors and see all these different companies that were all men. And here she is, this little young woman under 30 or in her early 30s at the time. And it took her 3 years and 100 prototypes before she got to the first Spanx. So understand that when you are setting out to do something, competence comes with repetition. You're not going to get the pitch right. You're not going to have the conversation right the first time. The first time you do anything, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be messy. You're going to flub possibly. And your willingness to believe that in the workplace, if you said yes to this job role, if you said yes to this promotion, if you said yes to this company, to this client, your willingness to be honest and authentic and keep practicing is where you will get. Jay-Z, again, he was somebody that came from the streets. If people don't know, he was actually a drug dealer. They literally had to convince him to stop because he was so good at it, and take that same energy and hustle mindset and focus on building business. And he's now a billionaire, right? So again, going from one plane to another, it's all, you're capable of building credibility wherever you are. It's your decision of who you want to be, the vision of who you want to be in that role. So do you want to be an incredible, accountant, an incredible CEO, an incredible founder, an incredible, like whatever role you are, do you want to be the best at it? And so once you make that decision, then you can build the repetition and the practice, and it'll make it easier to deal with the day-to-day once you've made the decision. See, if you're not making the decision and you're just complaining about how hard it is and how unfair it is and how nobody listens, all you keep creating is that. So the decision for excellence actually makes your life a lot easier. It doesn't happen at the beginning, and your life gets a lot more easier, a lot more effortless when you actually make a decision to be excellent, to have that competent confidence, because the external world will have less impact, because you will go in. So again, what happens is when you have credibility, you get the buy-in. The more you are confident in who you are, in the competence of who you are, the more likely you'll get people to work with you, to do things that they've never done before, to hear your ideas. But when you are trying to convince someone, you are actually cajoling. It's a different conversation between actually having a persuasive, hey, have you thought about this? Versus, no, I know this is the way it has to be done. This is what you should do. This is what you need to do. It's a very different method than versus you actually building and growing a relationship. Are there any questions, Diane? Did you ask
Nope.
any questions? No.
Nope.
So is everybody okay? Is this working for you? Let me just do a quick check-in. If this is good and you're understanding and it's working for you, just say yes, heck yeah, hallelujah, amen, all those work. And I think someone raised your hand. Can you type your question in the chat?
No, in the Q&A, please.
Oh yeah, in the Q&A, I'm sorry. Type your question in the Q&A because somebody raised their hand. So yeah, we're not opening it up for live questions, but if you can type it in there, we can get that. Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do is you guys wrote out, I had you guys write out a couple of things that you wanted to create this year. So looking at the fact that where you are, if you have anything on that list that you're unsure of how to do it, right? And you're having any experiences that are causing you difficulty in communicating, because the reason people tend to be unsure of how to do it is because they don't feel comfortable asking questions. Once you are comfortable asking questions, there's no unsurety. The certainty comes about in your willingness to go out and not care what people think and just keep asking until you get your answer, right? The repetition is the power. So what we're going to do now is an exercise to take. So if you have a piece of paper, I call this the reimagining. The reason we struggle with building competence and having a workplace experience that's powerful is because we keep imagining the problem. Like when we wake up, we go, oh my God, I can't believe I have to go to this job. You're taking the shower. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to deal with Bob again. Oh, right. And you're eating breakfast. Oh, I can't believe I have a meeting with Mary. I can't stand her. She's an idiot, right? So you're constantly feeding your thoughts that this is going to be difficult. Oh, I can't believe I got to deal with that client again. Oh my God, I don't want to go to this networking event, but I need clients and I hate talking to people. And why can't I just, right? So what you're feeding is negativity. Remember, I said 70% of our thoughts are automatically negative. It's because we have a reptilian brain that still thinks we're foraging in a cave. Our brain has not advanced as fast as technology. So that's the misnomer. We think we should know, right? And I tell people, don't shit on me and I won't shit on you, right? We think we should know better or we know more. It's not true. One, does anybody on this call know everything? Because if you do, I'm going to give you this floor, right? So since you don't know everything, because no human does, it's always okay not to know. And as I said in the beginning, when you actually realize that even if you do know it, the more times you learn it or hear it, the more powerful you become. The repetition creates power. I love hearing the same thing I've heard over and over and again, because all of a sudden I start having new awarenesses, new epiphanies, new revelations in the hearing of it 30 times, 100 times. There's a book like Think and Grow Rich. I have listened to that book so many times, I can't even remember. I've lost count at this point, and I hear it over and over again. But every time I listen to the book, I learn something new. So again, the negative thoughts, how you counter the negative thoughts is you must have a target of a positive outcome. If you do not have a target of a future focused positive outcome, you will continue to live in the cycle of negativity. So your brain is a powerful tool. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but you must feed your brain in order for it to feed you. So you remember the saying, you reap what you sow. You cannot get an apple tree from an orange seed. So wanting a powerful, amazing, satisfying career or business demands that you start to cultivate amazing, satisfying, remarkable thoughts, because your actions are the result of your thoughts. Your mentality is your reality. Said another way, everything you think about, you bring about. So if you have any aspect of your life you don't like, it's because of your thoughts, period. It's nothing external. You create your reality. So having said that, what happens is, and this is just a blanket example, an old negative thought, oh my God, circumstance, he or she did not show up time and left me waiting. Thought, he or she does not respect me. Why does this always happen to me? Feelings, angry, sad, disappointed, and rejected. The action, act passive aggressive, right? Say little smart, snide stuff. Yeah, you're always late. You're never on time, right? When they're around other people, yeah, don't worry about her. She's never on time. I've been so many groups where they do this, right? Make snide comments. Tell everybody else about the fact that this person is never on time, but never address it with the actual person. So you may have lashed out at them, but you've never actively addressed it, right? In a positive manner to generate a new outcome. To have a new outcome, you must start with a new thought, right? A new vision, right? If you keep thinking about the problem, all you can create is the problem. You cannot create a new outcome until you envision the new outcome. So then you'll have quick judgment of the person and other people and mistrust of others. So then what happens is, this is the new way. So the new thought is circumstance. She or she is running late, as we all do. I tell people, I have people show up late to meetings, Zooms all the time. They are always amazed at how gracious and kind I am. Because guess what? I'm late sometimes too, right? And if I'm in a meeting with you, remember, I need to create an outcome. I can't get an apple tree from an orange seed. So I need you to be positive so we can create a formidable, fabulous outcome. Because if you're sitting there negative, feeling guilty and embarrassed that you're late, I can't get an incredible outcome from negativity. No one can. You must be in a positive frame of mind to create incredible outcomes, unless you're a sociopath. Do you understand that? Right? So being gracious and kind to other people is for your benefit, not theirs. If you don't learn anything else from me today, understand being gracious, kind, and patient to other people is for your benefit, not theirs. So you can create a better life and you can face things in a different way and create different outcomes, because it shifts you to positive when you're not sitting there judging people and lashing out at them. And you're like, oh, not a big deal. No worries. Everything works in my favor. So yeah, so we got 25 minutes left. We got 20 minutes left. Let's make magic, right? You can make magic in 5 minutes. So we got 4 times that amount of time. You ready? And then guess what? They calm down and incredible things come, because they have they're I can't even think of the word, enamored to you. There was a word I wanted to say and I just lost it. So new positive thoughts. He or she is busy. I won't take it personally. It's not about you. It just happens. It's life. Feelings. Appreciate they made it safely and enjoy your time. I'm so glad you made it safe. Is everything okay? Right? Let them talk for a couple of minutes. Yeah, okay, I hear you. Yeah, it's been a crazy day. So are you ready to do something amazing? And then you shift it to what the outcome is, right? This is competent confidence. When you are skilled and confident in what you're creating and who you are and the value you are, you have the power to create and change every circumstance, every meeting, every place that you enter. You change it. It doesn't change you, you change it. Action, reconfirm the commitments and clarify understanding. Now, if we have a repeat offender of lateness, then we need to have a conversation about, does this meeting time work for you? How can I help you? Because time is valuable. It's the most precious commodity we have. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't beg for it, borrow it, steal it, bank it. Once it's gone, it's gone. It equalizes every human being, 24 hours. 1,440 minutes, 86,400 seconds. That's what we all get. So again, do we need to change this meeting? So that's when you address it in a different way. And then the result, no effect personally, no negativity. So you can move on to something positive. So what I would have you to do here is we're going to take about, and you're going to need to go through this a little quick because of our time, but we're going to take about, I'll give you guys about 2 minutes, but to actually think about a circumstance. And you'll get this slide deck and you'll get this recording so you can do this again and again. I used to print this sheet out, and before I was doing anything that was causing me to physically feel fear or negativity, I would sit here and write it out. until it became my standard. Now I can run it in my head. But at first, I needed to write it out. I needed to look at it and see it. And this is what most humans, they're not willing to be disciplined to do the little things that create the great excellence. My discipline of doing this consistently every single morning, that allows me now to always effortlessly create positive outcomes, because now it's on repetition. It has become integrated and is my identity. But you can't create identity without the redundancy of discipline. Hear me again. You cannot create a new identity without the redundancy of discipline. And that's for any aspect: weight, money, career, marriage, child raising. It requires doing the things that nobody else wants to do. Successful people are willing to do the things that other people won't do, period. And they discipline themselves to do it. So they're not sitting there complaining and whining and claiming they need a break. They just do the work until they can't do it anymore. And it becomes a habit because it's now integrated and it's their identity, because their target of excellence and outcome was so much greater than the temporary pain of fear in the unknown. Am I making sense? This is part of competence, right? So again, you guys are listening in the background, but you can write this out.
Well, while you're doing that, Janice wants to know, what's the name of the book that you read over and over and over and over again?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think It, Girl Rich?
No, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon.
Think.
Think, T-H-I-N-K.
Think.
Yeah, there you go, Christian. Yeah, somebody go to Amazon. This is an opportunity because I don't have it. If you're an Amazon affiliate, drop your link in.
Think and Grow Rich. Okay.
That link in the chat, and we can support people and go and grab that book. I listen to it on Audible. So, and what I love to do is I tell people, once I listen to a book on Audible, if I really, really love it, then I'll buy the book and I have Audible read it to me while I take notes and highlight. That's my special time. My mother used to read to us when we were growing up, so it's always an affirming experience to have read.
Don put the link.
Thank you, Don. Oh, somebody said they do the same. Oh, Michelle said, wonderful book. I know. See, book club. Minnesota might need a book club. Yeah, so that is it's an incredible book. I just re-listened to, just on Monday, I re-listened to the chapter on auto-suggestion, which is kind of what I'm talking about now. Like, we literally have the ability to create success by the repetition of imprinting positive visuals and thoughts in ourselves, but it means reframing what we thought it was into what we want it to be. All right, does anyone have any questions about this? Move on, and then at the end, what we'll do is we'll see if we have a little slice of time to
There's one question that's sort of related to this.
Okay.
I'm a small caregiver business owner with a handful of helpers. Speaking of never on time, what if the family members of a client always make it home late? Therefore, my helpers always leave late, 15 to 20 minutes. I approach the family, the adults, the children of my client about trying their best to get home so we all can be wherever we should be, yet it continues. How do I address this again? Both of their parents are in the hospital, so now, so I'm not sure what else to say.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And, it's not one that I want to do a blanket, because I'm actually a living caregiver to my sister. So I get that the family, so I tend to be timely. So it's not something that I experience, but I know that in dealing with my mom, sometimes she'll tend to be late. When people are made to feel uncomfortable, when people are allowed to experience the result of their inefficiencies, they tend to, sometimes you have to do something that creates an emotional jolt for somebody to understand, because they're on repeat. See, they don't have a concept of a new positive thought. So unless you can implant and have a conversation, that overall goal and vision of why it's beneficial, not just about the late, like the fact that you keep being late and addressing the late, there has to be something greater that makes people want to change, because what you're asking them to do is to change. And without the greater, they can't see it. It's like you're trying to manipulate. When I keep telling you, you have to be on time, you have to be on time. It does not work. We're just parroting. So example, my mom, she doesn't, certain things she won't do because she's like, I'm a very responsible child. I run a business, but she'll just leave it for me to do. And then I'm scrambling and I'm working 16 hours a day, attempting to do all the pills and stuff. So it had to be a greater conversation about both your children, your disabled daughter and your professional daughter, right? And it took time. It took repeated conversations about what that looked like before we came to, and I just became relentless. I just kept, because I knew there's no other way. This has to happen. And I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to get the result that I've decided that I know is beneficial for all. Right? So once you create a beneficial for all, it must happen as long as you hold the positive thought. The problem is we keep capitulating and going, oh my God, they didn't say yes, it's not working. You must believe it's working even when you can't see it. That's the power of auto-suggestion. All right, so moving on, thinking about that positive, are we communicating established connection? The goal is to provide inspiring information that moves people to action. So that's why it's so important to envision a positive outcome, envision a positive engagement and communication and conversation before it ever happens. Because what happens is as soon as you become uncomfortable, you are triggered. And what your mind does is it goes back and it grabs the history of who you are, because it needs to create something, because uncomfort means you're out of the comfort zone. You're doing something you've never done before. So your mind is making an assessment to give you an outcome of what to feel, what to think, what to say. If you haven't fed it anything new, stop looking for it to give you something new. As I tell people, people keep looking for withdrawal and they've never made a deposit. If you've never made a deposit of incredible, amazing, fabulous, right, confident, bold, if you've never made that deposit into yourself, you can't create it. You will constantly repeat your experiences until you enter new data into yourself, right? So that's why it's so curiosity is one of the most powerful tools humans have, and we do not use it. We lose it because we as children are told to stop asking why. That is the first lesson of curiosity. Children, because you're aware, you want to know, and most time adults around us are like, stop asking me, because they don't understand the impact that it's going to have in the long range. So they tell us to stop. So what I'm telling you is that curiosity, actively listen, allow people to finish speaking, be empathetic, assume the best from all parties. People are, because our brain is negative, when we hear something that makes us uncomfortable, we don't understand, because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable. Not knowing makes you uncomfortable physically. So your mind goes back to like fear. That's what it does. You must push it forward and go, no, if I'm in the room, it must be amazing. Even if I'm feeling this right now, it's going to be an incredible outcome because I have the capacity. I am confidently competent, or competently confident. I love when I do that. Anyway, that you can create that and seek to understand and not be right. Does anybody like being wrong? Anybody? No? Okay. Neither do I. What happens is when you need to be right, the only thing you assure is that somebody else feels wrong. You've lost them. You cannot persuade them. You cannot inspire them. You cannot empower them to an outcome, because now they're stuck in embarrassment and shame because you've ensured they are wrong. Wrong and right are two ways, and they are steeped in tradition of the past. I want you to be powerful in what you create. So asking questions and listening and parroting back. Okay, you know what? I didn't understand that. Wait, I've never heard that said before. So tell me more about what you just said. So, okay, in the scope of what we're creating, I'm curious, how does that help? Or how do you see that fitting? Push it back on them instead of immediately going, no, 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 no. That's what people love to do, is say no. No shuts down, right? So you're shutting down your opportunity to accessing the impact and the possibility of what a human being can deliver at any given moment, like I was saying the lady earlier. So this is a fact that most people aren't aware of. You have approximately 86, it's 86 to about 100 billion, right? There's all these different research, but I know one of the most recent ones says 86 billion neurons in the human brain. So those neurons are constantly working to deliver outcomes. Your brain is a supercomputer. So every time how you trigger your brain is your emotions. That's why people like to say, I feel, I feel, I feel. The challenge is what you're feeling. If it's uncomfortable, you're attributing it to fear. And what most people do is forget everything and run. They go blank. They start to feel uncomfortable. They start to feel nervous. They start to feel insecure. They feel inadequate. So all the blood goes down to your heart because your heart is racing, your palms are sweaty, your armpits are itchy, your hairs are raised. So all the blood has gone down to the lower extremities of your body. And all you can access is the one thing you fear. So all you can keep on repeat is creating the experience of fear, and all you will think and all your mind will begin to start to think that this is going to be something that doesn't work. So that's why you go to right or wrong. Versus when you actually decide that doesn't matter. I am here for a reason. We have collectively in this room, if everybody in this room has 86 billion neurons, there's no way we cannot solve for this. Like, this is an amazing meeting, and I'm going to be the reason this meeting is amazing because I'm going to keep reminding people that they are. I've been in meetings where I've said, hey, everybody, I just want to remind you why we're here. Like, we've got all these incredible people. We introduce each other. This is amazing. We have the opportunity to create something that's incredible. So can we just level set right now and get back and, and start moving forward in the direction we decided early on? You have that power, but most people don't feel competently confident to say things like that. That's why the repetition and the practice. I wasn't always that easy saying it, and there's many times I might have said it wrong or heatedly, and that's okay because it's practice. You just, you're never, there is no there. You're just getting better every day. So you get to choose at any moment in your life who you're going to be. Are you going to believe that the problem, the situation, or the person is that is the cause? Are you going to believe that you are the cause, that you get to create something, and that because you are a human being, that the way you discover your capability is through problems and solving for them? That's all. Life is not planned. There's no way. You are here to solve for everything you're faced with. And when you decide that you can solve and you choose to solve, you'll be amazed at what happens. So this is the last letter. We're bringing it home. So what can I inspire and learn? What can I learn that inspires others? So Albert Einstein said it best: I have no knowledge. I'm only passionately curious. So that's how he was able to create so many things, because he never believed he was smart and right and knew a lot of things. He just kept asking a lot of questions till he got the solution, right? If you were challenged, what is the solution? And be willing to be flexible that you don't know it. If you're working with a group of people, allow the group to create it, because if the group creates the solution, you have buy-in. And this is the last thing, creativity. So once you have the other four pillars, you've established the clarity, you've established the credibility, you have people operating in curiosity. Now you have the ability to take those 86 billion neurons and have creativity. You have people working together to solve. You have people working to create better outcomes instead of nitpicking and judging and talking about people and saying that they shouldn't have said that to me and felt that way. Let that go. This is why we are so powerful and who we are as humans. You have the ability to create such an amazing career in life when you decide that you're going to have an amazing career in life, and nothing and no one's going to stop you. And wherever I go, I'm going to be valuable, and I'm going to leave people better off for having worked with me. And that begins to be your reputation. And you get invited to more things. You get called upon for more things. It generates more opportunity. Cream always rises to the top. So curiosity, what is the common goal and vision? So you always want to preface that, like when you're getting to the problem solving and all of that. Leave ample time for parties to speak their mind and share, but you also want to frame, like if the meeting is short, maybe you're like, okay, I see like everybody has a lot of ideas, so we may need to come back and schedule another meeting. But for this, let's keep it to the time we have and get some key points that we can start to draw upon at the next meeting. So again, and if it's only 2 people, when I say meeting, it could be 2 people or many people. Confirm takeaways, next meeting times, deliverables, and roles. And I always have people confirm and say out loud what their commitment is. I don't make assumptions, like take notes. So before we leave, I just want to go around the room and make certain that everybody is clear. Can you say what your deliverable is, when we can expect it, or who you're connecting with? And I have everyone do that, because you'd be amazed, right? You know what happens when we assume, folks. It's an age-old adage for a reason. And this is the final I'll leave you with to think about. There is no can't. We were children when we learned to walk. We were taught that we can't, because as soon as you start walking, they gave you this huge applause. It felt like you had, a Super Bowl winning touchdown. The room went wild. And now all of a sudden, everybody's telling you, no, don't stop. No, don't stop. No, don't stop, because they want to keep you safe. The challenge is, once you had cognitive abilities to understand and comprehend what was safe, what was not safe, most people, most adults like myself, no one came back and overlaid that auto suggestion and told us you can do anything, you can be anything, you're a beautiful young woman, you are incredible, you're wonderfully made, there's nothing that you can't do, Michelle. I ain't hear none of that. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't hear none of that, right? I was just constantly told, you're wrong. What's wrong with you? Why you have common sense? That's stupid. Like, that's what I was imprinted with my entire youth, right? So what I've learned is can't is simply conditioning accepts negative thoughts. The conditioning of your upbringing, your mind, your personality was locked in by the time you were 7, 8 years old. So your upbringing has conditioned you to accept negative thoughts. What I'm telling you is that when you say I can, your creativity is actively nurtured. And creativity actively nurtured means that you are going outside the comfort zone. You are doing things that make you uncomfortable. And all change requires communication. If you want anything to be better, if you want anything more, if you want anything different, it must be communicated clearly outside of you to another human being. And the more you can demonstrate competence, the more likely you will run into the person who will help move that needle for you. So again, how am I building solutions? If you're not part of the solution, I promise you, you're probably part of the problem. So leave you with this. Have fun. Fun gets more done. Find something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. A professor said that to me in school. I majored in finance. Within 2 years, I was in sales because I was good at finance. I was absolutely miserable. So I tell you, find what you love. You'll never work a day in your life, because it will drive you. It will help you be disciplined. It will help you stay determined. It will help you keep going on the dark days. And right now, the life we live with the prices going up, the way everything is happening, there's a lot of dark days. So at least if you don't have work that you love, you wake up miserable. You have created a life of misery if you're not doing work you love. Because unless you have a trust fund, which I pretty much assume nobody on this call has, because if you did, you wouldn't be on this call, right? That means you must work, which means most of the waking hours of your life are working. So finding what you love will spread out to your life. You'll get up, you'll have more jubilance, you'll be more focused on the day. You'll be able to enjoy your work, and on the way home, you'll feel good. And when you get home, you have energy left to love the people you claim to be working for. If you're working at what you hate, you have no time, no effort, no energy left when you get home for the people you claim to love. And that is a huge waste of human life.
Yep.
So I want you to, before the day is done, share one of the goals you wrote as a beginning, one of the top 3 goals. Find someone you know, like, and trust, and share the goal as already done. So what that means is, so my goal for this year is that I'm doing a live event. I've done an annual vision board party, and the 10th one is going to be on January 13th, 2024. on a live event. So I would call someone and I say, oh my God, the event was amazing. I can't believe it was waitlisted. It was sold out. The people came. So I would share it as if it was January 14th. So the event date is the 13th. I would be talking to someone and I would tell them, I need to share this with you as already done, because I need to create in my mind that doesn't know the difference between a real memory and a made, so it doesn't know the difference between a real memory and a vividly imagined future. Remember I said, your mind can't give you what you haven't given it. When you start imagining favorable outcomes, taking that positive sheet, doing it for your life, doing it, because when you ask most people what they want, they'll go, well, you know, I want a house, but you know, I don't have enough money and I don't make, like, they talk more about what they don't want than they do want, because they haven't taken time to vividly, clearly imagine the target of amazing future. And that's how you become confident, is you keep practicing the fact that I'm going to be standing up giving amazing talks. I'm going to be leading a team. I'm getting promotions. I'm doing well. That's what creates the competent confidence. So the takeaways, whatever you're believing right now, challenge it against your feelings and what you want. If they don't equate, that means that there's something missing, that you might want to get a SCORE coach. I was telling Diane when I got on, I've been speaking for SCORE for over like 6-7 years now. And I got off a call with a SCORE coach before. My sales coach is a SCORE coach, right? So I still work with SCORE coaches. They're absolutely amazing. Imagine, right? So your mind, the negative thoughts, that activity you have, what great and better will look like for all involved. Remember, the more valuable you are to the team, the more valuable you are, period. It's not just about you. You get the ability to imagine valuable outcomes, and you can go out there and cause and create, because once you start repeating that on your mind, your actions will follow, because the mind is a powerful 86 billion neurons await your blueprint of excellence and amazing. They're waiting for you to give them the target. And gratitude. So once you do all of this, patience, remember I said, being patient, being kind, having grace for other people, realizing you can do that when you're grateful. When you realize that everything is working in your favor, no matter what happens, you will have more patience, more grace, more understanding, more kindness for other people. It is a lever that will leave people in oh my God, what is the word I want to say? It will leave them enamored to you, and it will leave people, it will indelibly imprint, so that when someone, even though they don't work with you, they don't say yes to you, they will never forget you. And when your name comes up, they will go, oh my God, yeah, I met Michelle. She was amazing. Oh my God, I met Diane. Oh my God, I met Don. That's what you do when you work from that. So BIG, always be the big vision of a person. And I want to say thank you.
Wow, we want to say thank you, actually. Wonderful. I'm going to stop sharing your screen for a second, but I want to say while I'm doing this that
Stop share.
I apparently I can't do two things at the same time. I would like to share my screen, and I would like to stop sharing yours, but I would like to thank you so much for coming. I have put Michelle's contact information in the chat. If you would like to connect with her on LinkedIn, use that link there. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. We don't have any current questions, but I'd like to encourage you to go visit our website. Our website is score.org/Minnesota. We have weekly webinars, not as amazing as this, although they're pretty amazing. This was a dynamic one. We have weekly webinars, and they're all wonderful. So please think about signing up for others. And if you are inspired to get a mentor, SCORE mentor, please go there and you can sign up to do that. I want to also thank you for attending. Also, you'll be getting an email from our national, and there's a couple of things on there. One is that you have an opportunity to evaluate this webinar, and the scale is from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. So if you thought Michelle was amazing, 10s are great. Think about that. Also, it will include an opportunity for you to suggest to me, I'm the education chair, so I arrange for all of these, who else might we contact? Who would you suggest? What other topics might we consider having? So please help us help you by doing that. Again, I see no open questions. I think they're just still digesting the wonderful information that you have imparted today. And I can't thank you enough. This is Michelle's second appearance for our group, and it was just as inspiring as the first. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and go be amazing. You guys
Go be amazing. Go be amazing.
Kick those
That's all.
8 million neurons in.
That's all. Go be amazing. All right. Thank you. And we'll hope to see you again. Bye-bye all.